You have been lied to about your very nature. You have been taught, and you have believed, that you are a sinner, separate from the source of your being, living in a state of lack and condemnation. I am here to tell you that this is the great universal deception. The truth that will be revealed here is that this sense of separation is the only sin, and your acceptance of it is the only hell you will ever know. What if I told you that the entire spiritual quest is not about becoming worthy, but about realizing what you already are? This is not about adding a new set of beliefs to the old. This is about a radical, internal shift in identification from the outer man of sin and lack to the inner Christ, the true Son of God. We are not here to improve the mortal. We are here to disappear it in the recognition of the immortal. The moment this transition occurs, when you stop seeing yourself as a prodigal son begging for forgiveness and start knowing yourself as the beloved child in whom the Father is well pleased, the entire universe rearranges itself to support this truth. Your life ceases to be a problem to be solved and becomes a presence to be expressed. What you are about to hear is not a lecture. It is an invitation to a sacred initiation. It is a call to let the old consciousness die so that the new consciousness can be born. If your heart is ready for this liberation, if you are prepared to leave the old garment of a sinner behind forever, then you must commit to this path. Therefore, I urge you, take this sacred step and subscribe to this channel, making it a sanctuary for your unfolding consciousness. And if the truth of this call has touched something within you, acknowledge it by commenting with the number 7, the number of spiritual fulfillment, as a symbol that you are ready to step out of the tomb of your old self. Consider for a moment the profound weight you have carried since childhood, the fundamental assumption that there is a you and a God, and that a vast, unbridgeable chasm exists between the two. This is the core of the universal deception. You pray to a distant God. You plead for intervention from a power outside yourself. You strive to become worthy of a love that has never been absent. This very sense of separation, this deeply ingrained belief in your own isolated, sinful nature, is the only error. It is the root from which all suffering, all lack, and all fear grows. This is not a theological concept to be debated. It is the foundational lie of human experience, the veil that obscures the face of the Father. Think of your daily life. You encounter a challenge at work, a financial worry, a conflict in a relationship. What is your immediate, unconscious response? It is nearly always the response of the separated self. You feel alone in the struggle. You believe you must muster your own limited strength, devise your own clever solution, or perhaps you feel overwhelmed and powerless, a victim of circumstances. This entire drama, with its anxiety and its strain, is born from that single, false premise: I am here and God is there. I am insufficient, and I must attract His attention, earn His favor, or resign myself to His absence. This is the sin that is not a moral transgression, but a perceptual one, a misidentification of your own being. It is the acceptance of this state of lack and condemnation that is the only hell you will ever know, a hell constructed not by a vengeful deity, but by a misinformed mind. Now, observe how this sense of separation manifests as a perpetual state of wanting. You want more peace, more security, more love, more health. But what is the nature of a want? It is an acknowledgement that you do not already possess. This wanting is the language of the prodigal son in the far country, believing himself to be separate from his father's abundance. Your entire life, if examined closely, can become a testament to this belief in absence. You seek love from others to fill a void you feel within, not realizing that the void itself is an illusion created by the belief in separation. You seek success to prove your worth, not knowing that your worth was established before the world was. This feeling of being a solitary entity navigating a hostile or indifferent universe is the great obscuration. It is the filter through which you perceive everything, coloring every experience with a tinge of fear or longing. When you believe yourself to be a sinner, you live in a state of self-judgment and anticipation of punishment. You interpret every hardship as a consequence of your unworthiness, every joy as a fleeting exception. This is the prison. The walls of this prison are not made of stone, but of thought. The chains are not iron, but belief. And the key to the lock is the revolutionary realization that the separation never truly happened. It is a state of consciousness, a dream from which you can awaken. The journey, then, is not about crossing a bridge to reach God. It is the collapsing of the illusory gap. It is the dissolution of the belief in two. It is the startling, life-altering discovery that the presence you have been seeking, the power you have been pleading to, the intelligence you have been hoping would guide you, is not a remote monarch on a heavenly throne. It is the very substance of your own awareness. It is the I that you are. The peace you seek is the nature of your true being, disturbed only by the turbulent waves of a mistaken identity. The supply you require is the omnipresent substance of the Father, forever expressing itself as your experience once the belief in lack is relinquished. The love for which you yearn is the very current of life itself, flowing as your own heart. When you cease to see yourself as an isolated vessel waiting to be filled. This recognition of the foundational lie is not an intellectual exercise. It demands a radical and total shift in your very center of gravity. To understand the illusion of separation is one thing, but to live from the truth of your oneness requires a transformation of identity so complete that it can only be described as a second birth. You are not here to improve the sinner, to make the old man more moral, more disciplined, or more pious. That is merely polishing the chains. The call is to drop the entire identity of the prodigal son, to cease the begging and the pleading, and to stand up and remember the robe, the ring, and the authority of the household. This is the shift from the sinner to the son. You have spent a lifetime building a case for this separate self. You point to your history, your mistakes, your flaws, your body, your bank account, your relationships as irrefutable evidence that you are a limited, fragile creature. This collection of evidence is the biography of the outer man, the mortal sense of life that you have mistaken for your true self. But I ask you to consider this. Are you the character in the play, buffeted by the plot, or are you the awareness that is watching the entire production? This shift is the movement from being the actor on the stage to realizing you are the consciousness in which the stage, the play, and the actor appear. When a challenge arises, the old identity immediately asks, "What should I do?" This is the question of the separated self, frantic and alone. The new identity, the sun, rests in a different question. What is the truth of my being here, and how is this perfection expressing itself? Let this become practical. Imagine you are facing a situation that typically triggers deep anxiety, perhaps a looming deadline or a difficult conversation. The old self, the sinner, immediately contracts in fear. It feels the full weight of responsibility on its solitary shoulders. It strategizes from a place of lack, fearing exposure and failure. Its entire focus is on the outer problem. Now, pause. In that moment of pause, you have an opportunity to make the shift. Instead of identifying with the frantic thinker, you turn inward. You consciously acknowledge this sense of burden and fear is the voice of the old man, the illusion of separation. It is not who I am. You do not fight it. You simply cease to give it your identity. You abide, instead, as the silent, witnessing presence behind the storm. You wait. You listen. You are not listening for a voice in the clouds, but for the stirring of a deeper knowing, the inherent intelligence of your true nature. This is the activity of the sun. From this place, action may still be taken, words may still be spoken, but they will not arise from the panic of the separated self. They will flow from a place of wholeness, and they will carry with them a power and a grace that the outer man could never muster. This is not a one-time event, but a moment-by-moment practice of re-identification. It is the most demanding and the most rewarding work you will ever undertake. Every time you feel anger, see it not as your anger, but as the old self's reaction. Every time you feel lack, recognize it not as your truth, but as the ghost of the prodigal son. You are not healing the sinner, you are outgrowing him. You are not improving the mortal, you are letting it be seen through by the immortal. Your life ceases to be a project of self-improvement and becomes a continuous unfolding of self-discovery. The world will still present its appearances, but you will no longer be a slave to their testimony. You will move through the world as the sun, knowing that whatever seems to be without is but a shadow cast by the consciousness within. And you are now abiding in the light of your true origin, where no shadow can truly exist. This shift in identity is not the adoption of a new and improved role for the outer man. It is not a more spiritual costume for the same actor to wear. The profound transition we are speaking of is the dawning realization that the actor itself was the illusion, and what remains, what has always been present, is the very stage upon which all appearances come and go. This foundational awareness, this silent, ever-present I am, is the inner Christ. It is not a person, not a historical figure to be worshipped from afar, but the very substance and reality of your own being. To know this is to know yourself as the Son, for the Son is none other than this Christ consciousness individualized as your very own awareness. You have been taught to look for this presence outside of yourself, in a church, in a book, in a teacher, or in a future state of glory. This is the final and most subtle trap of the old consciousness. The truth is that the inner Christ is the one who is looking out through your eyes right now. It is the intelligence behind your every thought, the life animating your every breath. It is the impartial witness that observes the turmoil of the mind without being touched by it. When you feel a surge of unconditional love for a child, a moment of pure awe at a sunset, or a flash of intuitive knowing that solves a problem you had wrestled with for days, you are tasting the activity of this inner Christ. These are not random emotional events. They are glimpses of your true nature, breaking through the veil of the personal sense of self. To live from this is to stop trying to live your life and to instead let the life that you are live you. Consider a simple daily activity like walking through a crowded street. The old man, the personal sense of self, walks in a state of constant commentary and judgment. It feels separate from the crowd, comparing, evaluating, feeling either superior or inferior. It is armored and defensive. Now, consider walking from the consciousness of the inner Christ. There is no longer a solid, separate you walking among them. There is a flowing, unimpeded movement. The people you pass are not separate entities, but expressions of the same one life. There is no need for defense, for there is nothing separate to defend. There is only a radiant, impersonal love and a seamless engagement with the moment. The weight of self, consciousness vanishes, replaced by a profound and simple freedom. This is the practical power of this principle. When faced with a conflict, the personal self prepares its arguments and fortifies its position. It enters the battle ready to win. The inner Christ, however, does not fight. It abides in truth. It speaks not from the memory of past hurts, but from the spontaneous clarity of the present moment. Its words may be firm, but they will be without malice. Its stance may be clear, but it will be without ego. It resolves conflict not by defeating another, but by dissolving the illusion of separation that created the conflict in the first place. Your work is to consciously withdraw your identity from the reactive, personal self and to place it upon this silent, powerful presence within. You are not creating it, you are yielding to it. You are not becoming it, you are ceasing to be what you are not. And as you do, you will find that the guidance you sought, the strength you prayed for, and the love you craved were never absent. They were merely obscured by the noisy activity of the one who thought he was a sinner, now yielding to the sublime silence of the one who knows itself to be God's own child. The journey of yielding to the inner Christ is, by its very nature, the gentle fading of the mortal sense of self. This is not an act of violence or forced suppression. You are not called to wage a war against your own humanity, to condemn your desires, or to annihilate your personality in a fit of spiritual fervor. Such battles are still the activity of the ego, the outer man fighting with itself. The true process is one of yielding and of being undone. It is a quiet, persistent letting go, a conscious withdrawal of the belief, and the energy that you have invested in the story of a separate, mortal you. As the light of the inner Christ is recognized and given precedence, the shadow of the mortal self naturally and effortlessly begins to lose its substance and its power over you. Think of it as the sun rising. The sun does not fight against the darkness. It does not struggle to push the night away. It simply shines by its own nature. And in the presence of its light, the darkness, which seemed so vast and real just moments before, is shown to be nothing but an absence. It vanishes without a trace. So it is with your true nature. You are not asked to battle your fears, your angers, or your insecurities in the dark. You are asked to turn on the light of conscious awareness, to abide as the inner Christ, and in that radiant presence, these shadows of the mortal self are revealed as insubstantial. They may appear for a time, but they can no longer command you. For you know them to be fleeting ghosts, not the truth of your being. This disappearance is felt in the most practical ways. Consider a habit of resentment you may have carried for years. The old self, the mortal identity, feeds this resentment. It revisits the story, feels the hurt, and justifies its position. It clings to this pain as part of its very identity. Now, as you practice abiding as the inner Christ, you will find that the resentment arises, but something is different. There is a space around it. You can observe the mental image and the emotional charge, but you are no longer fused with it. You do not need to fight it or repress it. You simply see it as an old pattern of the mortal mind, a piece of programming that is running its course. Because you are not fueling it with your identification, it arises, it may linger for a moment, and then it dissipates. It has lost its host. This is the disappearance of the mortal. The habit may return, but each time you meet it with this identified awareness, it grows weaker, until one day you realize the trigger is there, but the reaction is not. The mortal self that was defined by that resentment has simply vanished. This is the great secret. The mortal self is sustained only by your belief in it. It is a phantom, a collection of memories, reactions, and conditioned thoughts that you have mistaken for a self. Its only reality is the reality you granted through your attention and your identification. When you cease to call it I, when you cease to believe its stories of lack and fear, it begins to fade like a mirage. Your work is not to kill it, but to see through it. Your spiritual practice is not one of building up, but of a gentle, relentless letting go. You let go of the identity of being the one who was hurt, the one who is afraid, the one who is not enough. You release these not through force, but through the profound understanding that they never were you in the first place. They were costumes you wore, roles you played in the dream of separation. And as you take off each costume, as you step out of each role, what remains is not a void, but the vibrant, luminous, and eternal presence of the Christ, your true self, which was always there, waiting patiently for the actor to finish his performance and come home. As the mirage of the mortal self begins to dissolve and your awareness stabilizes in the truth of your Christhood, you will witness a profound and tangible rearrangement of your entire experience. This is not a promise of a trouble-free human life, but something far more significant, the revelation that the universe itself is not an indifferent external force, but a responsive and intelligent mirror of your own realized consciousness. The world you perceive is not a fixed, solid reality that you must navigate as a separate entity. It is a fluid expression of the consciousness from which you are perceiving it. When that consciousness shifts from the poverty of the sinner to the fullness of the Son, the entire reflection must change to correspond with the new center of gravity. This is the practical demonstration of oneness. You are not a tiny speck in a vast, mechanical universe hoping to attract good fortune or avoid bad luck. You are the very heart of the universe, and all its forces and forms are the outer expression of your inner standing point. When you live from the anxious, grasping consciousness of lack, the universe has no choice but to reflect that lack back to you in 1,000 different forms. As financial strain, as difficult relationships, as persistent health issues, it is not punishing you. It is faithfully showing you the face of your own belief. Conversely, when you abide in the conscious awareness of your oneness with the Source, when you know yourself as the beloved child in whom the Father is well pleased, that same universe must reorganize to reflect this wholeness. It responds not to your outer petitions, but to your inner conviction. You will see this as synchronicity, as meaningful coincidence, as doors opening that you never knew were there. It is not that God is now intervening on your behalf because you have become worthy. It is that you have ceased to block the ever-present flow of divine good with the dam of your sense of separation. Imagine you need a solution to a problem. The old consciousness, the sinner, would frantically search for answers, straining its own limited resources, its anxiety actually blinding it to possibilities. The new consciousness, the Son, rests in the knowing that the intelligence of the universe is its own intelligence. It goes about its business in peace, it listens, and it remains open. And in that state of receptive stillness, an idea may flash into mind, a conversation may present the exact answer, or a resource may appear as if from nowhere. This is the universe responding to your realized identity. The solution was always present in the infinite field of possibility, but it could only become manifest in your experience when your consciousness was a vibrational match for it. This responsiveness extends to your relationships. When you see yourself as a mortal among mortals, You engage in the endless dance of personalities, of conflict and negotiation. But when you know yourself as the Christ, you begin to see the Christ in others, even if they are unaware of it themselves. You are no longer reacting to their outer behavior, but communing with their inner reality. This shift within you can have a startling effect on the relationship itself. The person who was once difficult may soften, not because you have argued them into submission, but because your unwavering recognition of their true self has called it forth, disarming the defensive armor of their own mortal ego. The universe, in its infinite intelligence, is rearranging the reflection to show you the face of your own realized love. The very substance of your world becomes more malleable, more harmonious, not because the world has changed, but because the consciousness perceiving it has been fundamentally transfigured from a sense of separation to the glorious and unshakable certainty of union. The final and most glorious fruit of this entire transformation is that your life ceases to be a burdensome problem to be solved and becomes, instead, a spontaneous and radiant expression of the divine to be lived. You are no longer the central character in a drama of lack and resolution, striving to fix yourself or your circumstances. That entire paradigm, with its inherent struggle and anxiety, dissolves in the light of your true identity. You are not a project. You are a portal. You are not a seeker on a path. You are the very consciousness in which the path appears, and your every step is the destination itself, expressing its own nature. Life is no longer something that happens to you, but something that flows from you, as you and through you. Consider the immense mental energy you have previously expended in trying to manage your life. You have worried about the future, regretted the past, and constantly evaluated your present moment against an ideal. This is the exhausting activity of the problem. Solve it. The separate self trying to control an external reality. When you know yourself as God's child, this burden is lifted. Your focus shifts from manipulating the outer forms to abiding in the inner truth. Your primary concern is not what is happening, but what is being expressed through the happening. Your work is not to change the world, but to let the world be the canvas upon which the divine paints its own masterpiece. You become a transparency, a clear window, through which the infinite light of your source shines into the realm of form. Take the most mundane tasks: washing dishes, driving in traffic, attending a meeting. For the problem solver, these are often chores, interruptions, or necessary evils that stand between them and their desired state of peace or accomplishment. They are problems of time management, of patience, of endurance. But for the one who knows life as a divine expression, these same activities are transformed. Washing dishes can become a meditation on service and presence, a sacred act of bringing order and purity to your immediate environment. Driving can become an opportunity for joyous observation, for witnessing the flow of life in all its forms, for being a silent blessing to everyone you pass. The meeting is no longer a battlefield of egos, but a field of consciousness where you have the privilege of holding the space for the Christ in each person to emerge. The activity itself has not changed, but the consciousness from which you engage it has transfigured it entirely. This is the ultimate freedom. You are freed from the tyranny of good and bad circumstances. A so-called failure is no longer a verdict on your worth, but simply a point on the unfolding tapestry, rich with its own lessons and leading to its own unique expressions. A so called success is not a trophy for the ego, but a momentary flowering of the infinite potential within, to be enjoyed impersonally and released without attachment. You live with a deep, unshakable serenity, not because your outer life is perfect, but because you are no longer depending on it for your inner peace. Your peace is the cause, and the harmony in your life is the effect. You move through your days not as a reactor to events, but as a radiant point of origin, a center from which love, intelligence, and power flow forth without effort, meeting each moment not as a problem to be solved, but as a perfect and unique opportunity for the divine to express itself in a way it never has before and never will again.